The challenge. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before the Galactic Federation Council, her heart pounding but her voice steady. The massive chamber, with its crystalline walls stretching hundreds of meters high, was designed to make lesser species feel small. Today, it was failing. Distinguished council members, I stand before you not to apologize for humanity's so-called primitive technology, but to challenge your fundamental assumptions about space travel itself. The words echoed through the chamber, drawing murmurs from the assembled alien representatives. High Chancellor Zixtal, a towering figure with iridescent scales, leaned forward on his floating platform. Dr. Chen, your species has barely mastered basic fold space travel. Your fastest ships can only achieve 0.3 on the Galactic Speed Index. The minimum requirement for Federation membership is 0.7. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. And what if I told you we've discovered something your civilization, with all its advanced technology, has overlooked for millennia? The chamber erupted in dismissive laughter. Sarah had expected this reaction. For 3 centuries, the Federation had dominated interstellar travel with their quantum compression drives. They had turned space travel into a pure engineering problem. More power, more exotic materials, more complex computers. But Sarah and her team at the Terra Nova Institute had discovered something extraordinary. It started with an accident during a routine brainwave study of deep space pilots. They had detected patterns, impossible patterns that seemed to interact directly with space-time itself. Humanity's greatest strength, Sarah continued, isn't our technology. It's our ability to see connections others miss. While you've been forcing your way through space-time, we've been learning to dance with it. Chancellor Zixtal's bioluminescent patterns shifted to a shade of skepticism. Explain yourself, human. Sarah activated her holoprojector, filling the chamber with a complex neural pattern. This is a human pilot's brainwave signature during deep space navigation. And this, she overlaid another pattern, is the quantum fluctuation pattern of local spacetime. The chamber grew quiet as the patterns synchronized, forming an intricate dance of energy and consciousness. Impossible, whispered a Rigelian scientist, their tentacles writhing in agitation. We've discovered that human consciousness can naturally interface with space-time fabric, Sarah explained. We don't need to force our way through space. We can persuade it to work with us. The Federation's chief scientist, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, pulsed with derision. You expect us to believe that primitive human brains can somehow manipulate space-time better than our quantum compression drives. I expect you to give us 6 months to prove it, Sarah replied. If we're wrong, humanity will withdraw its Federation application for a full century. The chamber buzzed with excited conversation. Such a concession was unprecedented. Chancellor Zixtal raised a scaled hand for silence. And if you succeed, then humanity joins the Federation as a full member, with all rights and privileges thereof. The council members communicated silently through their neural networks for several minutes. Finally, Zixtal spoke. Your proposal is accepted, Dr. Chen. You have 6 months. But be warned, if this is some primitive deception, the consequences will be severe. Sarah bowed slightly. Thank you, Chancellor. One last thing. We'll need unrestricted access to the Carina Nebula for our tests. This request caused another stir. The Carina Nebula was a restricted zone, too dangerous for normal space travel due to its intense quantum storms. You would risk your prototype in Carina? Zixtal asked incredulously. The nebula's quantum storms are exactly what we need, Sarah replied. After all, what better way to prove mastery over spacetime than to dance in the heart of chaos itself? As Sarah left the chamber, she activated her quantum comm. They took the bait. Begin Phase 2. Back on Earth, in a hidden facility deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Marcus Wong smiled as he received Sarah's message. Around him, a vast chamber hummed with power as the prototype neural wave drive spun up for another test. They had 6 months to perfect what they'd already achieved in secret, the ability to not just travel through spacetime, but to become one with it. The real question wasn't whether they could meet the Federation's speed requirements. The question was, how would the galaxy react when they discovered that humanity had already far surpassed them? Continued in Part 2, The Discovery. The Mariana Deep Science Facility wasn't just underwater. It was under the deepest part of the ocean for a reason. Dr. Marcus Wong stood in the observation dome, watching quantum particles dance through the neural interface tank. The water pressure above helped contain their experiments, and more importantly, helped shield them from the Federation's prying sensors. "Neural sync at 70% and holding," announced Dr. Maya Patel, her fingers flying over the holographic controls. In the tank before them, pilot candidate James Chen floated in a specially designed liquid that amplified neural patterns. Marcus checked the readings for the 100th time. They had discovered the neural space interaction by accident 3 years ago, when a routine deep space pilot examination revealed impossible data patterns. Now, after thousands of tests and refinements, they were ready to attempt something unprecedented. "James, are you ready to proceed with full immersion?" Marcus asked through the neural link. The pilot's consciousness rippled through the quantum field. "Ready, Doc. Let's make history." Maya initiated the countdown. Neural wave drive engaging in 3, 2, 1. The quantum field around James's consciousness suddenly expanded, filling the massive chamber with patterns of light that mirrored the firing of his synapses. But this time, something was different. The patterns weren't just mimicking space-time. They were merging with it. "Holy shit," Maya whispered, watching her displays. "He's actually doing it." Full quantum resonance achieved. In the tank, James's consciousness had expanded beyond normal human limits. Through the neural interface, they could all see what he saw, space-time itself, not as the rigid framework the Federation believed it to be, but as a living, breathing fabric that responded to consciousness itself. "It's beautiful," James's voice echoed through their minds. "I can see the flows, the currents. Space isn't empty at all. It's alive." Marcus quickly documented the readings. This was far beyond their most optimistic projections. The Federation's quantum compression drives fought against space-time, forcing it to bend. But human consciousness could do something far more elegant. It could harmonize with space-time, creating pathways that shouldn't be possible. "James," Marcus called out, "can you identify any natural quantum corridors?" "Dozens of them," James replied. "They're like rivers of possibility. Some lead to the Carina Nebula. Others, I can see paths that could take us beyond the galaxy itself." The implications were staggering. The Federation's fastest ships could barely maintain 0.7 on the Galactic Speed Index. But these quantum corridors, if navigated properly, could potentially achieve speeds that would make their fastest ships look like primitive rockets. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility. Maya's hands flew over her console. Federation probe detected in high orbit. They're scanning for quantum anomalies. "Shut it down," Marcus ordered. "James, begin consciousness retraction sequence." As they powered down the systems, Marcus couldn't help but smile. Let the Federation scan all they wanted. They'd never detect what they weren't looking for. The real breakthrough wasn't the technology. It was understanding that human consciousness itself was the key to unlocking space-time's deepest secrets. Later that night, in his private lab, Marcus reviewed the data with growing excitement. The neural patterns they'd recorded showed something extraordinary. Human brains, unlike any other known species, naturally produced quantum entanglement patterns that mimicked the very structure of space-time. It wasn't just a coincidence. It was as if humanity had evolved specifically to interface with the universe itself. His quantum comm chimed. Sarah's encrypted message was brief. "Federation Council suspicious. Accelerate timeline. Begin Phase 3. Marcus glanced at the massive engineering bay visible through his window, where the prototype ship was taking shape. They had named it the Starcolor, a vessel designed not to fight against space-time, but to sing with it. Its neural interface systems would amplify what they'd discovered today, allowing the human pilot to navigate the quantum corridors with unprecedented precision. But as he prepared to brief his team, Marcus couldn't shake a nagging concern. They had discovered something profound, perhaps too profound. The Federation's dismissive attitude toward humanity might protect them for now, but what would happen when they realized that human consciousness itself was the most powerful force in space travel? The sound of distant construction echoed through the facility as robots assembled the Starcolor's unique hull. They had 3 months left to perfect their discovery. 3 months to prove that humanity's greatest weakness, their primitive technology, was actually their greatest strength. In the neural interface tank, now empty and dark, quantum particles continued their endless dance, waiting for human consciousness to join them again in their cosmic ballet. Continued in Part 3. The build. The Starkiller grew like a crystal in the depths of the Mariana facility, its iridescent hull reflecting the deep ocean's bioluminescence. But today, something was wrong. Marcus stared at the latest sensor readings, his face illuminated by red warning lights. The neural interface matrix is rejecting the quantum stabilizers again, Maya reported, her voice tense. That's the 3rd failure this week. The problem was fundamental. They were trying to merge 2 technologies that by all conventional wisdom shouldn't work together. The Federation's quantum science said it was impossible. Human consciousness couldn't maintain coherence at quantum scales, they claimed. Yet here they were, attempting exactly that. What if we're approaching this wrong? James suggested from his recovery pod. Each test run through the neural interface left him exhausted but filled with insights. We're still thinking like engineers, trying to force the technology to work. But what I saw in there, he gestured to the neural tank. Space-time doesn't want to be controlled. It wants to dance. Marcus ran his fingers through his gray-streaked hair. What are you suggesting? Let me show you. James walked to the holographic design table, his movements still shaky from the latest test. He pulled up the Starcolor schematics. We're building the ship like a fortress, trying to protect the pilot from quantum effects. But what if instead? He began manipulating the design, and as the team watched, the Starcolor transformed. The rigid military lines softened, becoming more organic. The quantum stabilizers weren't fighting against space-time fluctuations anymore. They were flowing with them. It's beautiful, Maya whispered, but the Federation inspectors are due in 2 weeks. We'd have to restart construction almost from scratch. Marcus studied the new design, seeing how it incorporated everything they'd learned about the true nature of space-time. Do it, he ordered. Strip it down and rebuild. The next 14 days became a blur of activity. The facility operated around the clock, with teams working in shifts to rebuild the Starkiller. Traditional metallic alloys were replaced with crystalline structures that could resonate with human neural patterns. The quantum drive wasn't a separate system anymore. It was integrated throughout the ship's hull, turning the entire vessel into one massive neural interface. Federation observers arrived right on schedule, their crystalline environmental suits glittering as they moved through the facility. The chief inspector, a Rigelian named Exthos, seemed almost disappointed to find everything in order. Your project proceeds as planned, Exthos asked, multiple eyes blinking in sequence. See for yourself, Marcus replied, leading them to the observation deck. Below, the Starkiller hung in its construction cradle, its new organic form deliberately incomplete. Let them think we're struggling with basic construction, he thought. Let them underestimate us one last time. But they hadn't counted on the Arcturian inspector's empathic abilities. She paused during the tour, her sensory tendrils quivering. There is anticipation here, pride, and something else, her glowing eyes fixed on Marcus. Fear. Wouldn't you be afraid? Marcus countered smoothly. We're betting humanity's future on this project. The pressure is enormous. The inspection team left seemingly satisfied that humanity was progressing exactly as expected, too slowly to meet their deadline. But that night, As Marcus reviewed the security logs, he noticed something troubling. The Arcturians' empathic scan had detected more than she revealed. "They know we're hiding something," he told Sarah via quantum comm. "Not what, but they know." Sarah's holographic form flickered with static. Someone was trying to intercept their communications. "The Federation Council is getting nervous. 3 member species have suddenly withdrawn their opposition to our membership. They're starting to wonder why. How much longer can you stall them?" 2 weeks, maybe less. Whatever you're building down there, Marcus, it better work. Because if it doesn't... She didn't need to finish the sentence. If they failed, humanity wouldn't just lose their chance at Federation membership. They would be marked as a deceptive species, possibly even quarantined. Back in the construction bay, James floated in the neural interface tank, testing the ship's systems as they came online. Through his enhanced consciousness, he could feel the star color awakening. It wasn't just a ship anymore. It was becoming something entirely new, a fusion of human consciousness and space-time itself. "Ready for primary neural link test," Maya announced, beginning integration in 3, 2. Suddenly, every alarm in the facility screamed to life. Maya's hands flew across her controls. Multiple Federation warships just emerged from hyperspace. They're on an attack vector. Marcus's blood ran cold. Had they discovered the truth? Or was this just a show of force to remind humanity of their place? Either way, they were out of time. The Starkiller was only 80% complete, its systems untested, its revolutionary drive barely integrated. "Begin emergency launch sequence," Marcus ordered. Maya stared at him in shock. "Sir, the ship isn't ready. The neural interfaces alone could kill the pilot." Marcus looked through the observation window at the Starkiller. Its crystalline hull pulsed with a soft blue light, almost like a heartbeat. "We didn't come this far to surrender, James." In the neural tank, James opened his eyes. They glowed with quantum energy. "I can fly her. She's been talking to me all along. We just weren't listening." As Federation warships descended through Earth's atmosphere, humanity prepared to show the galaxy that sometimes the greatest leaps forward come not from superior technology, but from daring to imagine something completely new. The Starkiller's time had come, and with it, humanity's destiny among the stars would be forever changed. Continued in Part 4, The Test. Alarms blared throughout the Mariana facility as Federation warships penetrated Earth's defensive perimeter. In the launch bay, the Starkiller's crystalline hull thrummed with untested power as emergency preparations continued. "Federation ships are broadcasting their demands," Maya reported, her voice steady despite the chaos. "They're ordering us to shut down all quantum experiments and prepare for immediate inspection." Marcus watched as James was sealed into the Starkiller's neural interface chamber, a sphere of liquid quantum crystals that would amplify his consciousness to unprecedented levels. "How long until they reach us?" 15 minutes at current speed. "Their weapons are hot." Through the quantum comm, Sarah's voice crackled with urgency. "Marcus, I'm stalling the Council, but you need to know. They're terrified. Our quantum readings aren't just unusual. They're impossible by their science. The Federation thinks we've either discovered or created something that could destabilize space-time itself." James's voice echoed through the neural link, now integrated with the ship's systems. "They're not entirely wrong. What we've built here, it's beyond anything they've imagined. I can feel it." The Starkiller's systems pulsed with blue-white energy as the neural interface reached full synchronization. Through the ship's sensors, James could perceive space-time itself, not as the rigid framework the Federation understood, but as a living, flowing tapestry of possibilities. "Federation ships entering weapons range in 10 minutes, Maya announced. "Sir, they're charging their main guns." Marcus took a deep breath. Everything they'd worked for came down to this moment. "James, are you ready?" "The ship is part of me now," James replied, his voice overlaid with harmonic frequencies that made the air itself vibrate. Or maybe I'm part of it. It's hard to tell where one ends and the other begins. Remember the test parameters, Marcus instructed. A controlled demonstration of 0.7 speed. Nothing more. We just need to prove we meet their minimum requirements. James's laughter echoed strangely through the neural link. Doc, I don't think that's an option anymore. They need to understand what we've really discovered here. Maya, start recording everything. The Federation needs to see this. Before Marcus could object, the Starcaller's quantum drive activated. The ship didn't launch so much as phase through the ocean above them, the waters parting and closing around its passage without a ripple. Federation sensors would detect nothing until it was too late. High above Earth, the Federation warships maintained their attack formation. Their sensors were calibrated to detect any known form of propulsion or space-time manipulation. They were prepared for anything, except what happened next. The Starkiller materialized between their formation, its crystalline hull reflecting starlight in impossible patterns. Federation sensors tried to analyze it and failed. Their quantum predictors crashed, unable to process what they were seeing. "This is Federation Command." A voice boomed across all frequencies. "Power down your vessel immediately, or we will open fire." In response, James opened his consciousness fully to the ship's systems. The Starcaller's hull began to sing, a crystalline resonance that harmonized with the quantum fabric of space itself. As the Federation watched in stunned silence, space-time began to dance. "My God," Maya whispered, watching the sensor readings. "He's not just finding quantum corridors. He's creating them." The Starkiller moved, but not in any way Federation sensors could track. It wasn't pushing against space or tearing through it. Ship and pilot were doing something that violated every law of physics the Federation held sacred. They were becoming one with space-time itself. Federation weapons opened fire, filling space with energy beams and quantum torpedoes. But the Starkiller flowed around them like water around stones, each movement a demonstration of impossible grace. Their fastest tracking systems couldn't lock on to something that was, from their perspective, everywhere and nowhere at once. "Current speed," Maya announced, her voice shaking. 0.9, 0.95. We're past Unity. Unity, the theoretical maximum speed possible according to Federation physics, and the Starkiller was accelerating past it with no sign of strain. Through the neural link, James's consciousness expanded beyond normal human limits. "I understand now," he transmitted. "The Federation's been thinking about space travel all wrong. They see space-time as something to conquer, to dominate. But it's not about forcing your way through." The Starcaller's hull resonated with pure crystalline notes as James demonstrated. In seconds, the ship crossed the solar system, dancing between quantum states in ways that made Federation scientists' minds reel. Their most advanced sensors registered speeds that couldn't exist, movements that shouldn't be possible. "It's about becoming part of the dance," James concluded. On the Federation flagship, alarms screamed as their quantum core registered something unprecedented, a cascade of space-time harmonics that threatened to overwhelm their systems. The Starkiller wasn't just proving it could match Federation technology. It was demonstrating mastery over principles their civilization had never imagined. "All Federation vessels, stand down." Sarah's voice cut through the chaos. "What you're witnessing isn't a weapon. It's the next step in space travel. And if you're willing to listen, humanity is ready to share what we've learned." As the Federation ships powered down their weapons, the Starkiller hung in space before them, its crystalline hull pulsing with possibilities. They had done more than prove humanity's worth. They had shown the galaxy that there were still wonders to discover, if only you were willing to see space-time not as an obstacle to overcome, but as a partner in the cosmic dance. Continued in Part 5. The Triumph. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Federation had never been so quiet. Representatives from 1,000 worlds sat in stunned silence as they watched the recorded footage of the Starkiller's demonstration. On the massive holographic display, the crystalline ship danced through space-time, in ways their greatest scientists had declared impossible. Sarah Chen stood calmly at the center of the chamber, her expression serene. Beside her, James appeared as a hologram, his consciousness still merged with the star color in orbit above. His image flickered with quantum energies that made the Federation's sensors buzz. High Chancellor Zixtal was the first to speak. You have exceeded the requirements for Federation membership by an unprecedented margin. The Chancellor's scales shifted through patterns of confusion and wonder. But what you've demonstrated goes beyond mere technological achievement. You've introduced principles that contradict our most fundamental understanding of spacetime. Not contradict, Sarah corrected gently. Expand. Your civilization has achieved incredible things by treating spacetime as a barrier to be overcome. We simply discovered another way. The Federation's chief scientist, their crystalline form pulsing with agitation, projected a series of equations into the air. But this is impossible. Consciousness cannot interface directly with quantum states, the energy requirements alone. James's hologram smiled. Would be impossible if you're trying to force it. But we're not forcing anything. We're participating in a dance that's been going on since the universe began. Through their neural link, he allowed the assembled representatives to feel a fraction of what he experienced, the flowing, living nature of spacetime itself. Several delegates gasped. Others began frantically recording data. A few simply sat in stunned silence as their understanding of reality shifted. Several delegates gasped. Others began frantically recording data. A few simply sat in stunned silence as their understanding of reality shifted. The star color isn't just a ship, Sarah explained. It's proof that there are still fundamental discoveries waiting to be made. Not through superior technology or greater power, but through new ways of seeing. Marcus's voice came through the quantum comm. We're already seeing applications beyond space travel. The neural quantum interface has implications for communication, energy distribution, even healing. This isn't just about humanity joining the Federation. It's about all of us taking the next step together. High Chancellor Zixtal rose from their platform, bioluminescent patterns shifting to formal mode. Dr. Chen, humanity has not just earned Federation membership. You have earned our respect. The chamber hummed as translation fields conveyed the full weight of this declaration in 1,000 languages. We formally invite Earth to establish a new Federation research division dedicated to this neural quantum technology. Sarah bowed slightly. We accept, with one condition. She paused, making eye contact with various delegates. The research must be open to all Federation species. We believe that each civilization may have its own unique way of perceiving and interacting with spacetime. Humanity has found one path, but there may be countless others waiting to be discovered. The chamber erupted in excited discussion. The implications were staggering. If human consciousness could interface with spacetime in this way, what other secrets might be unlocked by the diverse species of the Federation? There is wisdom in your words, Zixtal acknowledged. Perhaps this is why younger species like humanity are so valuable to the Federation. You see possibilities that we, in our certainty, have overlooked. As the formal acceptance ceremonies began, James shared a private neural link with Sarah and Marcus. Through his connection with the Starkiller, he could perceive quantum ripples spreading through the galaxy. Their discovery was already changing things in ways they couldn't fully grasp. You know, James transmitted, the really interesting part isn't what we've achieved. It's what happens next. We've shown that consciousness and spacetime are interconnected in ways nobody imagined. This isn't just about faster ships or new technology. We've opened a door to understanding the universe itself as a participant rather than just an observer. Sarah smiled as she watched delegates from 100 worlds already forming research partnerships, sharing theories, proposing experiments. Humanity had done more than prove their worth. They had reminded an ancient civilization that the greatest discoveries come not from assuming you know everything, but from remaining open to wonder. In orbit above the Federation capital, the Starcaller's crystalline hull pulsed with possibilities. It was more than just humanity's triumph. It was a reminder that in a universe of infinite mystery, the greatest barrier to discovery was believing you had nothing left to learn. And as representatives of 1,000 worlds began to explore the implications of neural quantum technology, each bringing their own unique perspective and consciousness to bear on the mysteries of spacetime, one thing became clear. Humanity's greatest contribution to the galaxy wasn't the technology they developed, but the reminder that the universe still held wonders waiting to be discovered by those willing to dance with infinity. The end.